Hello and welcome. My name is Carol Carter and I'm the founder and CEO of GlobalMindED. We are all about creating a capable, diverse talent pipeline to get more women, people of color. Any way that you can define diversity as broadly as you can is how we define it. And we are all about getting these individuals with enormous talent into the education, economic mobility, and leadership pipeline. And we do that in a number of different ways. One is an annual conference that we've held since 2015. And we've had it virtually last year and we have it virtually this year. It's called Reboot Resilience and Rebound Remarkable. This entire week is dedicated to freshman year success, especially for first gen to college and diverse populations from all different backgrounds who are interested in getting kind of the inside secrets this summer of how to do well in college, complete, and go on to a promotion pathway job. So that is, a big part of what we do is help students who are freshmen, and we help them to complete college, connect them to role models, mentors, internships, and jobs. So that is what you can look forward to every day this week. At the same time, we're recording these sessions so you can share them liberally with some of your friends who maybe weren't able to attend. And we are so thrilled today to have a session on first gen leadership with our class of 2021 student ambassadors. It's called Students Have Their Say. And we have one of our graduates from the GlobalMindED 2017 class, Dr. Alicia Sepulveda, who's going to be our moderator for today. So Dr. Sepulveda, welcome. And we are so proud to have somebody who's in our network meet the incredible students who really led their peers through the pandemic. And I'll just say one more thing, that they produced a report called Student Leaders Speak with Every Learner Everywhere. And then they interviewed 10 each of all of their colleagues in a Student Speak peer-to-peer report. And that was 250 students. And then finally in May, they did a report called Student Leaders Speak to college presidents, CEOs, and policymakers. So these are the students you're going to meet today are representing 25 other students, and those 25 represent 102 that were in our class. So welcome, Alicia. So great to see you.
Great. Thank you so much, Carol. I am so excited to be here because it is really amazing to be part of such an amazing program, and just going through it myself and then seeing the continuation of this program to develop leaders who really care about this work and want to see this work move forward. So I am so excited to be here. My name's Alicia Sepulveda. I got connected to GlobalMindED whenever I was working on my PhD program at University of Northern Colorado, which I have since graduated from. And I am currently serving at University of Colorado Boulder as the interim assistant director position for the academic coaching program. And one of the things that I've been really pressing the work that I do is working and serving first generation students, because I know, number one, what it's like personally to go through that, but also I see so much potential in students who have never been exposed to what the college environment looks like, feels like, and how to navigate those spaces. And so I'm doing everything on my end as well to make that a better experience for all of our students. I think one of the things that stands out to me so much about my experience in GlobalMindED and with that leadership program, there was a couple things that stand out to me most. And the first thing is that I felt so much less alone in the world. And I knew that I wanted to do incredible things in the world, but seeing other people who were like me, who were also first gen, who had really big dreams and goals and wanted to push that work forward, it was so inspiring to be in a community of people who were actually doing that work. And it really expanded so many possibilities of what I thought was possible in the world and what I thought I was capable of too. So it was such an incredible, expansive experience for me. And I think the second thing I'll say too is it really expanded my personal network of people that I could connect with, who I've continued to stay in contact with as well. And I think that really shows me the power of community and the power of this work, and also just this organization. So So excited. So continue to use your network as you build it, and also be open to expanding that continuously, because it's actually still continuing to expand for me because of my interactions and my networks in GlobalMindED. It's been so powerful. Literally, even the past month, it expanded because of GlobalMindED. So just wanted to remind you all to continue to expand your networks. But for now, we're going to go ahead and introduce our student leaders. So let's go ahead and get started with Sochi.
Hi everyone, my name is Sochima Ifedikwa, and I'm actually an international student from Nigeria. And I graduated from San Jacinto Community College in Houston, where I got my associate degree in computer science. And I transferred to Texas Tech University, which is in Lubbock, Texas, where I'm continuing with my education to get both my bachelor's and my master's at the same time. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. And Tomozia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tomozia Graves. I am a recent graduate at Towson University. I graduated with my undergrad in communication studies, minoring in business, communications, and liberal arts. And I will be attending Towson University in the fall to complete my my master's in communication management. So glad to be here.
Great, Hannah.
Hi, my name is Hannah Petronek. I just graduated this past May from West Virginia University with a bachelor's in biochemistry. And come January of 2022, I'll be starting my master's in plant pathology and entomology.
Wow, you are already doing some incredible work. I'm so excited. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with our first question, and anyone can jump in so we don't have to go in order. So how did you grow this year as a result of being part of the Every Learner Everywhere GlobalMindED program? And then now that it's been a full year, how did these connections really help you during the pandemic?
I can go first. My confidence has surely grown. I have really bad imposter syndrome, as probably a lot of students can also say for themselves. So even being chosen to speak on this panel had me questioning what I had done to reach this point. In addition to confidence, I feel as though I have a lot more agency. This past year, I've been a lot more communicative with my professors, like asking for extended deadlines, asking for more clarification on assignments, because navigating virtual education has been a huge obstacle.
To add with that, definitely confidence and leadership. I've learned to tap into my leadership skills and learn communications. I was able to use the things I've been learning with my communications field and tap it into the GlobalMindED program. And this opportunity just gave me another outlook on life and a way to network with many amazing people around the world. And so, yeah, great networking.
Yeah, just to add a little bit to what both Hannah and Tomozia said, well, for me, it has actually helped me to grow professionally, which is kind of like leadership skills that everyone would need at one point in their life, like once you graduate from school. So it has helped me to like network to network with too many leaders that have been in the same position that I've been at. And with the pandemic and everything, I know it's been difficult for all of us, but by the grace of God, we've actually been going out of it, like of recent with the COVID vaccine and everything. But actually, it has helped me to try to see things from a different perspective, to grow both myself and people that I'm also trying to impact their lives on. So yeah.
Yes, thank you all so much. I mean, I heard so many amazing things that you're developing in this space. So advocacy skills, you're developing confidence in who you are, and then also as a leader. Like, that is so powerful to take with you in your grad programs, and then also after for whatever's next for you. And I think the other thing too is you're developing professionally. You're developing how to develop. How do you even be a professional? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And you're getting those experiences through these programs, which is amazing. And then you're also getting, I love the challenging your perspective of what do we know? And I think that alone is such a great place to start a career and to start what's next for you all, is to challenge everything that you know, because that's how we're innovative. That's how we make change in the world, is by challenging what we know. So, so beautiful. Great. So our next question is that, so each of you were chosen as ambassadors in the program to really represent the voice of over 100 students and all students this year. What role did this play in your own leadership development, and what impact did this have on each of your college campuses as you use your voice nationally and globally?
I can go ahead and go first again. I have tried to act as sort of a sounding board for my classmates and peers about issues they're facing academically. I cannot speak for each individual personally, but I can at least bring light to certain issues and try to get the information through the right channels and to the right people. For instance, there have been some degree auditing and advising issues at my university this past year. Even though I've already graduated and this issue doesn't affect me, it's affecting a lot of students underneath me. So I think that advocacy is really important. That I've graduated, I kind of understand how college works now, and that all of these students are facing issues I didn't have to deal with, but I can at least talk to advisors and talk to administrators to get them to try and listen to their students that are suffering under new policies.
Okay,
I would say, oh, sorry. I would say for me, I personally work at my college, Towson University in Maryland, as a student worker and a student ambassador. And so although the pandemic has shifted to virtually during the year, I still was able to see a few students come in and have their study time in their study rooms, because we have sectioned off study rooms. So I tried to take what I've learned, those skills, and be appointed in that time, be an advocate for those students and motivate those students who may be going through a tough time. And I also work at a community college, Harford Community College. And so I help with advising, and not just with registering for classes. You know, not everything has to be about academics. I try to make things seem more, more than life. So that's how I bring more to the table.
Well, so right now, since I'm considered as a transfer student at Texas Tech University, and most people think that because I've left St. Jack that I'm no longer an ambassador. I still represent both my former community college and Texas Tech at the same time, because even before I joined the GlobalMindED program, I used to be a member of the diverse student population, which was an organization that helped me, kind of try to create more awareness to for diversity and inclusion. And with me being a global-minded an ambassador, it's actually made me see that I can broaden because most people think that you just have to be diverse, but if you don't have diversity and inclusion at the same time, there is no it doesn't collaborate, and it's not a good matching thing. So right now, I'm actually a transfer ambassador, and so I actually help students. Most people that are mostly international students like myself, and minority students, and I try to make sure that they are transitioning well into their classes. And most times, yes, like Tomozia said, it's not usually all about academics, but sometimes trying to be socially, because we're all different and the same in different ways. Like when it comes to culture, language, things that bring us together. So these are things that I try to make sure that I portray to them and make sure that everyone sees that we're all the same, so yeah.
Great, thank you all so much. I wanted to touch on this motivation piece that Tomozia, you brought up a little bit, and how have you all stayed motivated during this time? I know that it's been a really big challenge for the students that I work with, and for so many of us. So how do you stay motivated, and how do you motivate other students, since you all kind of seem to work with a lot of students as well?
Okay, let me go first for this one. Okay, well, I would say very good thanks to the GlobalMindED program, because they provided us with mentors. And so the mentors were actually, my mentor was a very, very good source of motivation for me. even because he tried as much as possible to like keep in touch with me, to like help me develop some of the skills, like trying to be committed, you know. And sometimes everything is always a learning process. Like he always reach out to me, and I also had students that I was mentoring myself. So it doesn't mean that because I have a mentor, I can mentor others. So I kind of drew from the skills that he taught me, like trying to be like committed, trying to reach out, good communication, especially, you know. These were things that helped me to try to grow myself and also grow others and to stay motivated. And even with different applications, like Zoom is now like something that has gone, like most people now use very much. So I use resources like that, you know, to like try to keep in contact. And my students, like people that I'm mentoring, see that, oh yes, I'm trying to make them motivated myself. And always getting feedback, it's also something that helps me too. So yeah.
For me, I try to make it fun. Just being that joyful spirit. When you walk into the room, you don't want it to be somber. So I know there's a lot of times I had classes virtually, and then a lot of students would dread a professor that would just, you know, just speak like a monotone. And so I know a lot of students don't like that lecture. So usually and we have like a group meet, and we would just talk about, oh, okay, so what fun things we could do. We could all meet virtually and just, you know, talk about all the fun stuff that we used to do or that we could do in the future. What are your plans? What are your careers? And just, you know, step outside the box. And I've also helped generate some events at Harford Community College, like kickback mixers virtually. And so it just allowed people to just have a good time, show their talents, and, you know, be themselves.
Yeah, I think being first generation in general has provided a lot of motivation for me because I'm like, I have to get this degree. I have to finish this semester. Because I have such a huge support network, not only with GlobalMindED, but on my own campus and in my own state, full of mentors and professors that I really look up to. And I don't want to disappoint them. I want to get my degree. I want to finish. And that really dragged me through this past semester, even though it was horrible for a lot of reasons. And also in a lot of my classes and in my research lab, like Tomozia said, we kept group meetings, we had Slack channels, and we didn't just talk about business or academics, like we talked about what we're gonna do when we all get vaccinated and just send funny things to one another. And that kind of helped us along this semester. Also, we sent each other reminders for assignments and stuff like that because it felt really hectic doing everything on our computers, and I lost a lot of deadlines and stuff amidst all the emails. So
Yes, I appreciate you all sharing that and just being real too, because that is a very real thing that we struggle with is motivation. And it's something that we all kind of experience in different waves. So I appreciate you all sharing kind of those different perspectives. I'm seeing some questions come in. I'm so excited to get to those. So we will get to those in a few more minutes. So please go ahead and keep answering or sending those questions over. So for now, I just wanted to get a sense. So there's so many entering freshmen who are first gen to college who are actually watching this segment today as part of their Strong Summer Start leadership launch. What advice do you have for these students about how to make the most of their first year of college and just their overall college experience?
Okay.
Stay focused.
Yeah.
Try to, yeah, I'm sorry, stay focused. That would be my main tip, especially if you come from a large family. And me being the youngest of 6, including 3 step siblings, it's always like someone's always going to be down your throat saying, hey, what are you doing? You're doing this and that and this. Try to stay consistent in what you want to do and your goal. And of course, ask around, ask for help, but most important is what you want. So I would just say stay focused.
Yeah, well, my advice is actually will be that you should try as much as possible to engage. Try to engage. At least try to find a NIC, like an organization that you can join. I actually used to be a member and a treasurer of the International Student Organization at San Jacinto College, and it helped me like find this group of where I belong to, because we are all social animals. So at some point you want to interact with like people like yourself. Like it may not be maybe in the same kind of sports that you play or the same major that you're getting in or just something that you're interested. I would say that you should try as much as possible to engage because some organizations, they try as much as possible to like help you grow in different sectors of your life, both leadership skills, socially and otherwise. So just engage. It's very, very important that you do that. Yeah.
Just like Tomozia said, definitely stay focused. If there are university hosted programs or dorm related programs, please attend them. You never know what people you're going to meet and connections you're going to make. And speaking from personal experience, WVU is a party school and there's tons of party schools out there. And these bigger universities do implement programs on the weekends to try and detract students from that and keep them engaged in a safe way. Also in classes, if you're already like in major classes in your first year, try and link up with some other people that have the same major as you because they can be study buddies for the next 4 years. And I found that really useful. I've made friends in my first year math classes, although we didn't have similar majors in the end, we still took a lot of the same classes and we all studied together and I'm still friends with them to this day.
Sorry, can I add one more thing? Another thing is schools provide resources for you no matter what. But the thing is that most students do not ask questions or are too scared to ask questions. So every school will always provide resources, but if you don't ask, sometimes they will not, like, you may not find out about, things like that. Let me say something like scholarships, or let me say mental wellness day you're looking for. So this, just try as much as possible to make sure that you ask your professors, or you go to you can even just, sometimes I go for advice, and even sometimes when I don't need to, I just because I want to like talk to my advisor, so that because they might have an information that just came in and they'll be like, oh, this is what we are planning. I'm like, okay, I should be looking out for this. So it's always good to like try to what's the word, like try to go to some of these offices and find out resources that are out there for you to like use, and what the school offers, and I bet it would help you very well. Yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye out for bulletin boards on campus too. I know a lot of clubs and departments will post things on there. You can sign up for email lists. That way you're constantly getting information from that specific program or club if you're interested in it.
Okay, so I want you all to think of a story if you have one. There's no pressure for all of you to share, but do you have any stories of something that you did that was really random and unexpected during your college experience that really made a big difference for you in some way, or just helped you step outside of your comfort zone? So I'll share a quick one while you all are thinking, but I think for me, I remember I tried fencing, and if you're not sure what that is, I didn't really know what it was. I think I'd seen it in a movie or something, but fencing is where you wear all this like gear, and then you have I'm probably describing this wrong, but you have a sword of sorts, and you're like, there's like another person on the other end, and you're kind of fight a little bit, and you're like yeah. So had never heard of that really. And there was a fencing club on campus, and I had some friends that were going, and they were like, come on. And I was very nervous as a college student and was very uncomfortable going. So I went, I was super nervous, and I laughed the entire time. And I had so much fun from that experience. And I would have never done that on my own, but it was something that I tried. I'll probably never do it again, but I laughed and had such a great time. And that was a very memorable experience for me. And so it's just a reminder, yeah, to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things that are unexpected. But yeah, does anybody else have a story that they would want to share?
This isn't as random, but in the past year, so all 4 years of undergrad, I had done research and I was always in a molecular biology lab. So like very sterile, clean environment, always inside, no windows, lab coat, the whole get up. And my research mentor had gotten a new job as of the end of my junior year. And I was looking at other labs to join, and he suggested this forest pathology and mycology laboratory. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be outside all the time and like in the dirt and stuff like that. But I immediately fell in love with it. Like we go outside in the field all the time. I'm still getting to be in the lab and do the bench work that I'm accustomed to and enjoy, but I'm picking up insects and stuff that I thought I would never do. And I really, really love it. And it's obviously influenced what I want to do for my master's. I thought I was going to get a master's in molecular biology, but now I'm going to get a master's in plant pathology. So it's really shifted gears for me.
Well, and that says something, Hannah, that like you do something that you're not sure about, and then boom, wow, this is what I needed the entire time to get where I need to be. But for me, I would say I feel that I'm an introvert, but I'm not. But deep inside, I feel that I need to be closed indoors. But when I attended Harvard Community College, I had a class, it was journalism, but it was a lot of like hands-on traveling that you had to do. And so we had trips to go to New York, DC, a lot of conferences I had the chance to see. And these are a lot of places I never had the opportunity to go. I first started traveling at 18. And so for most people, they start traveling early, but for me, that opened up the doors to like, wow, I got the traveling bug. This is something I want to do. I love meeting people. The conferences, I love, I just grown a passion for it. And so it's definitely things happen for a reason. And I couldn't be more blessed to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I think one of the story, like I've had very, very fun moments since I came to America. So, and as an international student, sometimes we come in with a certain kind of training, but America is called the melting pot of the whole world. So, when I came, my main goal was just go to school, do my academics, and at some point, there were some classes that I was taking that I was like, why am I taking this class? Like US history. I never wanted to take US history because I was like, I'm not a US citizen, so why should I be taking it? And, I had a very, very good professor that I, tried as much as possible to like make sure that we're all engaged. And the way he like told stories in the class, it was very, very it made me know that there's nothing that you learn that is actually a waste. And that was actually some of the things that actually motivated me, that like I was like, yeah, it's because I'm not from here doesn't mean that I don't have to like learn about like different cultures and things that they do. And right now I'm actually working towards becoming an American citizen. So I mean, it's things like this is just something that I, have actually been pushing me and helped me to like try to learn more every day and every single day, like of different cultures. And, so yeah.
Ah, love this so much. Thank you all so much for sharing those stories. I think they're so impactful because you can really see how you have a plan in mind, but you're still open to what might be possible, who you might meet, experiences that you might have, and how that might change your perceptions, right? And change your trajectory even. So that's so exciting. Okay, and then what insights do you have for incoming students who are really wanting to have an impact with their voice? And how do you make your college more inclusive by holding leaders to the highest standards of access and equity?
So a lot of universities, I don't know if this applies to smaller universities, but they'll host events that are like a Q&A session with the president or the provost or something like that. You can come prepared as a student with difficult questions. And even if the president has a scripted answer, at least you're bringing up the question and bringing up the issue. So a professor or another student in attendance is like, oh, that affects me too. Because I've realized as a first generation student, there's a lot of obstacles I faced that I didn't realize they were obstacles until somebody else like brought it up and was like, hey, that's actually unfair and you shouldn't have to deal with that. Also, like in the day and age of technology, we can also keep records of everything, of like bad emails from like a professor with a bad attitude or something. We have access to record and screenshot and keep track of all of these things so that we can bring it up to administrators if it becomes a problem.
One thing I have learned with being a college student is that the university wants to hear your voice, the student voices. And so there are student government associations available for students to be able to speak their voices and use their voices to branch across the rest of wherever they are. And I know at my college, we have Advocacy Day, where they take a few programs and a few students in them, and we travel all the way to Annapolis. I always say it wrong, but it's so funny. And we get the chance to meet with different like senates and senators, all that type of stuff, and be able to like have those conversations, sit in the actual boardrooms and have like that moment like, oh wow, I'm actually sitting in a chair where people are making big decisions. And so we are able to make our changes in our share of voices.
Well, one of the ways that I've used actually like to share my voice, like to tell like my school or people that I'm trying to make an impact to. It's actually true. It has been through my professors and through the organizations that I was in, because most times, most people don't know that you have the opportunity to do some of these things, like, tell the school like what you actually want to see. And like my professor, like who used to be my mentor in one of the organizations that I was in, we actually used to like host like small meetings, and we just something like a weekly time, and we start posting flyers everywhere. And we actually kind of like, with those meetings, we use it to like make sure that people that are aware of what they do, like, we host meetings so that they can like know like things that are supposed to be known. And I've actually also reached out to most of the schools, news kind of the people that write newspapers and journals. Like I know different students that write journals, and sometimes they kind of interview me, and I kind of like try to make sure that I hit in points, like trying to be a diverse and inclusive. And with things like this, it helps like create a very good awareness to the school. And like Tomozia said, using the SGA, like the Student Government Association, these are actually students like you that are presidents, and you can talk to them. It's not like they are professors, or they're like, sometimes they're actually like they are students that could be first gen and also in the same situation as yourself. You can talk to them, and with this, like whenever you like raise issues like this to them, it makes them think, they're like, oh, that's a very good idea, and we can go into this, we can look into it. And because it's an SGA, they have the ability to like create like try to like make rules and laws and talk to like the committees of the boards of the university. So yeah.
Sorry, may I add something really quick? Just going off of what Sochi said, say you get really close to a professor or an advisor and they agree with you that something's an issue, you can always talk to them because they sit on their own committees and they sit in on their own faculty meetings, and they have all the right to bring up those issues and say like, hey, so-and-so, my students are complaining about this or that. So they can also bring that up for you as well.
Yeah, I want to bring something up that came in the chat. So Carol shared to identify your wants and needs, and also to learn the campus resources that are covered in your tuition so that you can tap into them, and then use your power of influence as a student. Really, and from the administrative side, so I work in administration, that is so powerful. If you ask for it, they have to hear you. And they actually usually listen, and sometimes you have to push a lot. It's not just one conversation, it's multiple conversations over time, but eventually they'll listen. And that's, you do have a lot more power than you for sure know. And I think I never knew any of this whenever I was a current student, so I just feel like it can be so powerful. So definitely using that power. And then as you graduate from college and get into these positions where you can have a bigger influence in your sphere, right? How do you make a difference in your organization? How do you make a difference nationally? How do you make a difference globally? How do you continue to push that envelope? I mean, it's so amazing to see you all even just thinking about all of these things. So continue doing so. It's so wonderful. And you're building amazing skills to do this and actually make change in the world. So we have a few questions that I want to touch base on. So this one can be a little bit vulnerable, so feel free to share as much or a little as you'd like. But throughout college, have any of you ever failed a class? And if so, what did you do the next semester? And I'll say that even if you haven't failed a class, what would you do? How would you bounce back from that semester if you haven't failed a class yet?
Well, I haven't particularly failed a class, but there was a class that I was very like, I was struggling in very hard. It was, and I had a tough instructor, like very opinionated. And so I remember getting a paper and it was like a bad grade, like the lowest grade I've ever received. I think it was like a D, but for me, I pushed myself so hard that it made me cry. And I remember walking out of the classroom and I was walking around campus and I bumped into my friend and she was like, she stopped me. She was like, everything okay? And I was like, and I just shook my head and I held up the paper like, this is not what I want. And so she talked to me and gave me the motivations like, okay, if this is not what you don't want to continue getting this grade and you want more for yourself, here are the resources. And she's like, there's a library. We have this learning assistants available to help me with this particular class that I was struggling in. And to give myself organization, I had to actually structure myself time to study for that particular class. And so towards the end, I ended off passing it and receiving higher grades with my papers, but it was definitely something I had to push through.
I also haven't failed a class, but there was one particular class that I also really, really struggled in high school and like my freshman year of college. I kind of breezed through. I didn't really have to study. I didn't really have to try. And so it was organic chemistry too, in particular, that this class just like really stumped me. And I actually had to try to learn how to study and learn this material because the exams were so difficult. And I went every time that my professor had office hours, I was in the office hours and I would do all of the practice assignments, even if they weren't for a grade, and I'd bring them in. I'd be like, are my answers right? Can you walk me through it? All the time. And I also, because I didn't really know how to study, I never utilized a study group before. So also during that class, I got together with a lot of my classmates and worked through practice tests and stuff with them. And I didn't fail the class.
Well, I haven't actually failed any class, but just like Hannah and Tomozia, I've actually had difficult times in class, and sometimes I consider whenever I get a grade that I don't expect to get, I actually kind of consider it failing sometimes because but regardless, no professor ever wants their students to fail their class, even if they are very, very difficult. Yes, some professors know that they are difficult, but it's actually their style of they actually training you, trying to make you be a better student. So I don't think that any professor has the intention of all their students to fail, because if a professor teaches and all the students are failing, then he's not a good professor, and that's not what he wants or what he or she wants. So what I did, it was trying to, speaking communication is something that it's key. So I had a computer science class, which was a coding class, and I took the class like it was programming 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 classes, the first 1 and 2 classes, I did very well in them, but the third one, which was like it was very, very difficult. We were supposed to build a program, and I wasn't getting it at all. So I had to like try to talk to my professor. And sometimes when professors see that, okay, that you're actually doing your best in some of these things, they actually would see, oh, this student is always complaining to me that they don't know what to do. They will find other ways. They can make exceptions for you, like give you something simple, or give you like an alternative, or like a makeup quiz, or like give you something like their past questions that they've used to like teach. And they will find a way to give you resources, but sometimes it's always up to you to like ask. So that would be my advice to them. Yeah.
And I'll just say one other thing, that sometimes you can end up taking a class if you want to for pass fail, or you can go and ask before the drop date if you just feel like it's way above your head, and you can take it, the following summer. Lots of students do that. So, but what I would say, like the most important thing is really, get your syllabus, think about the hardest class you're going to take in the fall, and go ahead, if they've got it published through the bookstore, and get the course materials for that right now and read that this summer, because then the class will be like a review for you and not an introduction. And that will be easier for you in the hardest class that you anticipate you will take.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Carol. That was actually a very good point. So, like as an international student, what I do sometimes is most like for some schools, you can actually see like what the professor is going, like what textbook the professor is going to use, and you can actually go through YouTube. Everyone knows YouTube. This is a technological age that we're in, so you don't actually have to like go in depth, but having like a summary of what the things the professor is going to be teaching, it's something that is very, very useful, because with like that's what I always do every summer. Anytime I have like a free periods, like I'm not working, I kind of go through all my classes just to have a total idea. And most times, whenever you're registering for classes, they give you a rundown of what that class is going to be, and just like they'll just explain what the class and what the grade is going to be, or something like introductory classes to it. Sometimes there might be some times that you may have taken an introductory class, like in your, let me say you've taken a class before, but it's been a long time since you took a class like that. It's always good to like go back and refresh your memory, because sometimes you still know them, but you just have to like dig them out, from your brain. So that's something I would advise that you do.
Also, technology is really useful to go on YouTube, especially with STEM stuff like math and chemistry, just to see somebody else work it out like differently from a different perspective can sometimes help you a lot. Because some professors only teach the way they know how to solve a certain math problem or something like that. So seeing it worked out another way might make more sense to you.
Oh, so good. And I work with students every single day who fail courses. So it does happen, and that's okay. I think a couple things to reflect on is, first off, from your own perspective, like, what can I change personally? Do I need to study more? Do I need to manage my time better? Do I need to study differently? Because what I'm doing, I'm not really understanding the content. Really reflect on what you can control first. And then if you make those changes and you're still not seeing what you want, it might be time for you to go outside of yourself. I think one of the things that I notice is that asking for help is a big theme here, but sometimes we don't know when it's the right time to ask for help. As soon as you start to think, I don't know what I'm doing, it might be time to ask for help. And it's not going to be too early to ask for help. If you can do it earlier, the earlier the better, because then you can kind of bounce back quicker. The longer that you wait to ask for help, the longer it might take you to bounce back, which means that you're more likely to fail the class again or not do as well as you would like in another class. So just kind of paying attention to that as you move forward, is first yourself and reflecting on what you can control, but then who and where do I need to go to ask for help, whether it be content-based with tutoring on campus or going to your office hours for and getting help from your professor directly. Great, so we have some more awesome questions about mentorship. So what would a model global-minded mentee look like?
I would say someone who is passionate in what their goal is, have that direct goal and the courage to do what they love to do. So that would be my overview of what a mentee would look like.
And Tomozia, say a little bit more about that, because each of you had mentors, and these are some students in some of our programs this summer. They're going to be paired with mentors, so they really may not be familiar. We're going to do a whole session on this tomorrow at the same time, but just give them a little bit of an overview so that those who are unfamiliar can know how it worked and how it worked with each of you and your mentors, how you made the most out of it.
Yeah, I know for me, my mentor specifically, her name's Sarah. We were just like tag teaming on, like we were helping each other. It wasn't so much of her just being my superhero all the time. We actually we have a lot in common. She's kind of like my sister in a way. It's sister from another mother, that whole saying. But yeah, like, and I think that helps a lot when it's not so much geared on the person, like the mentee comes for the mentor, but when the mentor actually gets something out of the mentee, it gives more, I don't know, it's more powerful and it's more loving. And I think you learn more out of that. And I think everyone needs a mentor in your life, no matter how old you are, no matter what career you're in, you need a mentor to go through anything. Hey, my mother she calls me mother daughter. Like, so I continue had to mentor her. She has to mentor me. Everyone has to be structured in their own way. So
Yeah, my mentor through GlobalMindED, we actually had a lot more in common personally than professionally, and just sharing like similar life stories really helped out mentally, and that alone helps you just work better as you go forward. Like my current research mentor, he always tells me, he's like, I'm a man, I have not lived the same life experiences as you. I can serve as a mentor, but there's some things I just cannot advise you on and I cannot help with, and I don't want to like steer you in the wrong direction. So having a mentor, even if it's not professional, that you share a lot of the similar personality traits with, similar life stories, it can really help you along the way.
Yeah, well, I have a very, very good mentor, Mr. Patrick, and we're actually going to be having a meeting very soon because he just texted me and he's like, he's trying to touch base. And most times, just to let everyone know, there is nothing like a perfect leader. Leaders grow every single day, like you're learning. And just like Tomozia said, it's not always because someone is your mentor doesn't mean that they know it all. No, it goes two ways. Like we are both learning on each other's side. Like he's teaching me and I'm learning, and I'm also teaching him myself, and he's also learning from me. So it's being having a mentor, it's something that it actually helps, and it's just to keep both of yourselves in check, like so that you can grow as a leader. And sometimes even with my mentor, it's not every time that we are having like a meeting, it's not always like usually it's not mostly, hey, how's we're not trying to like build any skills or be like, it's just trying to keep in touch, like just be like, hey, how's your day going? Is everything going all right? Do you have any problems? And just like that, we sometimes, well, let me say 15 minutes into our meeting, we go into our social life, like how is everything, like have you been making friends, like what have you been doing this weekend. It's something that it's everyone needs a mentor regardless. Even a mentor has a mentor if you do not know that. So that's something that you should know. Yeah.
Okay, and then kind of building off of what you're all touching on here, sometimes it can be really scary to meet somebody new, especially somebody who you're like, wow, this person works for this company or this organization or is in this very high powered or a very high status role. So what do you say to students who don't know how to be mentored or feel apprehensive in some way? And then maybe what was it like when you first met your mentor?
We're all still people deep down, even if we have some fancy professional title. There's always going to be something you're able to relate on a personal level. And just know that if you've been through it, they've probably been through it too. So you can ask them and talk to them confidently about it.
yeah, Hannah, you hit the nail on the head with that. It's amazing to hear people who you would think, how did I even get here, to be next to this person who has the best career that I've always wanted. They had a journey just like you are going through yours as well, and they're still having a journey. And then it's amazing to see different people's backgrounds and different cultures. So it's awesome that human beings can just be themselves in every way, and it's all love.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say, I know sometimes it can be very, very difficult to open up to someone that you're just meeting for the like just you're trying to get to know the person. But even my mentor, he doesn't have like any kind of he didn't have like the same background as I have had because he's American, I'm Nigerian, and sometimes I wouldn't say sometimes it might be difficult for him sometimes, but the thing is, it's communication that helps. Communication. You see, there's some things that even me myself, I'm still learning how to communicate sometimes. Like it's almost every time she reaches out to me, and she, even though she's not my man, she reaches out to me and be like, hey, so did you get this message? I'm like, yeah, thank you for telling me. And then I still ask some questions, and then sometimes she asks me questions that I even want to ask myself. And communication is key to everything. If you're able to talk, like if you're able to like communicate, and those I know sometimes there's some things that you may not want to let out, but it's communication that it's the only way that I can think of that you can open, like try to have a very good relationship with someone. And sometimes, even if they may not have the answer, a good mentor would try as much as possible to find the best resource and information for you. Like sometimes I've had like questions that my mentor was not able to answer, and he's like, okay, so I'm going to find out about this information for you, and I'll let you know. So that's what a good mentor would always do. And I'm very sure that at GlobalMindED, we have good mentors like that. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I always recommend for students is to lead with curiosity. So just ask them a bunch of questions, and it can be as simple as, what do you do every day? And I've literally asked that question, even as a 30-something, I've asked that question to people and jobs that I don't know what they do. I legitimately don't know and I don't understand, and I'm really curious about. So anytime that you can lead with that curiosity piece, that's a really, big way to kind of break the ice a little bit, and also to encourage them to speak, because the more that they speak, the less you have to, and the more you get to learn and kind of sit back and take that in too. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to look at some more questions here. There was another one about mentorship. Oh, I wanted to ask about this one. So how do you construct an email when you try to introduce yourself to professors? So what do you include, or what are the things that you should be kind of sharing in that introductory email?
I know that a lot of professors don't like to read their emails. So first and foremost, try to keep it as brief as possible, but obviously include your name. I also usually include my student ID number, because if they have to do some administrative something on behalf of me, then they're going to need that student ID number. Also, you can introduce like your major, what you're interested in. If you're like asking to work in a research lab, you could be like, oh, I see you work on this project and I'm interested in it because of this or that. Also, if you're intending on having a meeting with them, it's appropriate for you to be like, here's when I can meet. And then they would get back to you and say like, okay, we'll meet at this time. So that it stops a long, super long chain of emails asking you for your ID number, or asking you, can you meet on Wednesday at 3? No, I can't meet on Wednesday at 3. So
I know a
Yeah.
lot of my instructors in communications ask to put in the subject line, okay, this is the class that you're coming from, the number that goes along with it, and what are we talking about? What is this email strictly about? Just so you can be straightforward, we're not running back and forth. Okay, so this is what we wanted to talk about the entire time. So you want to just hit with your salutation, hello, nice to meet you, introduce yourself, and maybe can end off, can't wait to have this class with you this semester, if you're contacting your instructor early on. But if it's in the beginning, you just want to be direct and share exactly what you're talking about head on.
So just to add to what Hannah and Tomozia said, like yeah, most professors have like give specific instructions on how they want you to send them emails and like subject headlines. Like sometimes most professors have like over 500 students that they are teaching, and they don't have time to go through like a 2-page email that you're going to send to them. So it's always good to hit the nail on the head, like just go straight to the point. Like do a little bit, just one sentence salutation. I hope your day is going very well. I just want to ask you a few questions, and then also don't try to be too informal. Like professors hate it when you're like hi, you're no contractions. Try to be formal as possible, and saying how's your day going, it's good, that's formal to even ask. So, and also make sure like few email etiquettes, try to add like your G number, not G number, like your ID number, your personal student's ID number, your CRON. Also sometimes don't ask your professor like are you going to be available by this time. Instead, give them the time that you are going to be available, so that they can know when to reply to you. And also another thing is for you to it's to make sure that whatever you're asking, just hit the point. If you have like too many questions, use like bullet points, so that whenever they're responding back to you, like they respond back in that same way. And it's very, very key. And for me myself, I always attach my phone number, so that to be like, hey, this is the best way you can communicate with me. And then you can give them alternate emails, even though sometimes schools don't require you giving them an alternate email, because they will always want to like answer a school email, because if it's not, if you give them like your personal email, they will most times won't answer you. So these are just few key things that you should know when sending an email. And yeah.
I've also customized my email signature to also make it a little bit more clear. So I have my name. I have like, well, I already graduated, but I used to have like Bachelor of Sciences candidate in biochemistry. And then I'd have like the college at my university that I'm a part of. And then I'd list my email again, and then I'd list my ID number. That way, like they have all my information right there, and they don't have to ask me for it.
And lastly, just to add, just to keep it organized, keep your email organized and the format organized as well, not putting all the questions in one paragraph, maybe splitting up a bit so that the instructor can actually follow what they're reading. And so Mickey's, there's a lot of examples you can follow on Google. So.
And so sure, just something that I just to because this is something that my sponsor has always been hitting on me most time. And so even though sometimes your problem may not have been solved, it's always good to always show gratitude. And because I always say thank you, and I hope to hear back from you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity, for being my professor. Because sometimes, and also even when they reply back to you, it's always good to like say thank you back to them. Sometimes most people just they get their answers and they don't get back to their email. And they don't like send an appreciation, like kind of saying, thank you very much, Professor, for answering my question. This key things, sometimes they could stick out. They'll be like, your professor could be like, oh, this students send me a thank you like letter saying thank you for like replying to my email. It's very, very important. These are little things matter. And if you do these things, I'm sure you will have a very good semester, very good relationship with your professor. Even professors that you've taken for like 2 semesters ago, you still know them. So yeah.
Well, I know we are super close to time, so I want to do just a quick, kind of leave on a positive note here. I'm a really big believer in you sharing your goals and your dreams with the world. And I think there's 2 reasons for that. One, there could be somebody in the audience who can help you get to that goal. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that it inspires other students to go for their dreams and to also see what's possible. So I'm going to ask each of you to just share a goal or a dream that you have for yourself.
All right. So my goal actually right now as an international is actually to get my bachelor's in computer science and my master's at the same time. And also I also have other leadership skills that I'm still building on, which is mostly communicating. Like I always hammer on it. Even like I just got a call from one of my mentors in Nigeria, and she's like, you haven't been keeping in contact. And it's something that I'm still building on. So communication is something that I'm trying to like, get up to. And also I'm working towards being working in America as a full-time employee in a company, a technology company or engineering company. So that's my goal right now. So.
For me, my goal is to prepare myself for grad school in the fall. So it's just really being able to research. That's one of the main things that I wanted to practice before starting grad school, is researching, because what I'm going into is communication management. And I know that in this particular program, I will have to focus on a particular study. And it is exciting, but I also want it to be something I care about, something I'm passionate about. So I had to put the work in. And so I've been trying to make myself get everything ready. I bought calendars, like a nice, beautiful calendar that I love so much. I love getting nice, like scheduling with stickers added, just to make myself feel good so it's not boring. I bought a new desk. Like I'm putting it all together so that when the time comes, it's something I'm enjoying, even though it could be stressful at times. It's still something that I'm passionate about. So that's my advice for everyone, is that even though the situation that you may be going into may be stressful at times, you can make it feel better by just adding your few things that make you feel good. So.
Yeah, my ultimate end goal is to just continue to be a research scientist somewhere in the world of plant pathology, whether that be at a university or with the Department of Forestry or the USDA or something like that. Also, one of my other goals is just to keep first gen advocacy a part of my career somehow, even if I'm doing something completely different, because I think it's really important and I don't want to lose that the higher up I go in academia.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. You are all amazing humans, and we can't wait to see what you do and how you impact the world in so many amazing ways. We can't wait to see it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alicia, and thanks to each of you. And if you all don't mind, I know we didn't get to Elsa had a question, and if you guys don't mind putting your emails in the chat, maybe she can write you with a little bit more detail about her question, and she can get the answers from each of you guys on email, because we want to thank her for putting her question in there, even though we're out of time. And then I just want to share that this whole week is about, you know, each of you and how we can share the wisdom of people like Dr. Sepulveda and Hannah and Tomozia, Sochi. You know, we're sharing that wisdom. So tomorrow is dedicated completely to the mentor-mentee relationship. And we've got a wonderful person named Kwame who runs the Big Brothers Big Sisters program out of Atlanta. And he's going to be the panel leader for several of the colleagues of the people who are on this panel who were there with their mentors and talking about what that relationship is like in depth. So we've got that to look forward to. And then on Wednesday, we've got a whole session called Where Are They Now? With a whole bunch of people like Alicia and people who went through the program like 5 or 6 years ago and all the different jobs and what they're doing now and kind of their arc of time wisdom that they're going to be sharing. And then on Thursday, what industry leaders look for in students and graduates they hire. And Ken Epps is our leader whose parents were sharecroppers. He's an amazing guy, went to South Carolina State, Stanford Business School, started 3 tech companies. So he's leading that panel with a lot of different industry experts. And then finally on Friday, we have a class or a session called First Gen Role Models. What does success, inclusive leadership and you know, success look like on a lot of different levels. And so those are all kinds of first generation role models from different points of life as well to share their wisdom with you. So the whole week is for you. And we look forward to sharing it with you all. All the sessions will be recorded. So if you want to watch them later or share with others. And Jordan, feel free to go ahead and post your question right now. And then go ahead and capture the emails of each of these different panelists. And you can write them all the email with your question, but we'd love for you to put the question in the chat because that way we can find out what's on your mind, even if they, you know, are going to answer it for you separately. So thank you so much, everybody. And I'm going to share what my big goal is that by 2025 or before that we've got our technology that we're working on right now to algorithmically connect 25 million first-gen students, first-gen grads, those who work with them and those who want to hire them to role models, mentors, internships, and jobs. Oh, and Jordan's writing about scholarships. We don't have scholarships per se, but we work with a lot of the colleges that do have scholarships, and some of them use those scholarship funding to bring students to our conference. And we also work with some groups like National Science Foundations Includes, which is kind of how we met Hannah in the first place, and some other groups that have some different streams like that can help you pay for certain experiences or even for college tuition. So, all right, everybody, thanks for being here today, and looking forward to all of you who attended, just having you guys be a part of this awesome network of all these leaders, because everybody is like the people who were on this today. They are just here to help you connect to your highest and best self and your purpose in the world. And that is like thousands of people in our community who want to do that for you. So thanks, everybody. Great to see you guys today. Take care and put those dates in your calendar, June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, 2022 in Denver. So we'll all be here, and hopefully we'll see all of you guys then. Take care, everybody. Bye.